Of the speaking yesterday, I thought that what happened yesterday would actually be a good topic for um, for brothers and sisters today. I think that our speaking yesterday really it expressed what's wrong in the earth. Who was at the speaking yesterday, right? Okay, at the speaking yesterday, it was not like any other speaking I probably experienced, and I've been through probably a million of them. Uh, it was primarily the Asians, who y'all call the Asians or the Arab people. They were surrounding us while we were speaking, and it got kind of heated. Of course, nothing happened, but they're pretty bold here, opposed to the United States. And the reason they were so adamant against us, you had one guy come up with a mask and whatnot, and you see they was calling people to come against the speaking. And the only thing we was doing was teaching the Bible. Okay? We also had some people who were Catholics there. We had all these different so-called religious sects in one place, but yet there was tension, conflict. The conflict came from a statement that was made during the speaking when we expressed the fact that religion is what's wrong with the world. Now, some people might get offensive with that particular statement when someone make a statement that religion is what's wrong with the world. When you were born through tradition to respect and honor religion, and people have made religion a part of themselves. The example that was given at the speaking yesterday was not only the tension that we experienced, but the wars that permeates internationally as we speak. These are religious wars. So if we're dealing with a God that's all loving, a God that wants all humanity to live as one, and that's the keynote point of every religion you can join, peace among men, why is there war? You're saying one thing about peace and love, and your religion is bringing all this peace and love and unity. You're saying that to recruit, but the result of religion is war. Now, the major issues in these people, or the people that were there, were disagreeing. They claimed that we were teaching racial divide, and I want to clear that up. As I mentioned yesterday, there was a racial divide before we started speaking yesterday. I think it's a racial divide, or it's taboo to speak of anything with race, and that's part of the problem. When it's spoken of, oh, you can't say that, but yet this is something that we all experience on a daily basis. Our life is dictated based on race. That's reality. Regardless of whether or not we want to push it under the table and say it don't exist. It exists. Are we wrong for bringing forth what exists? No. I think that a solution comes with talking about things. By us hiding and brushing it over the under the table, no solutions have been founded for thousands of years. So why not talk about it? Now, number one, I like to put this out there straight for everyone, and I put it out there for them. We are nowhere near racist. We're nowhere near being racist. Number one, we understand that as a people, and I'm saying as a human race, we will not be able to survive without each other. Okay? That the Most High, when He brings forth His kingdom, there will be all people of all nations under one power and one God in total peace and unity. Who don't want that? The problem is religion is stopping us from getting that. The example I gave was the fact that the Roman Catholic Church. Now, of course, the Roman Catholic Church do a lot of philanthropy. They do a lot of good things in the earth. They got churches. They have hospitals. They have, a lot of goodwill stories. But the Roman Catholic Church is behind the majority of diplomatic evil that's promoted in the earth. Okay, you adopt a few kids, you do this, you do that, but yet the Jesuits, who are part of the Catholic Church, were behind the takedown of all these countries we see. The Jesuit order, which actually is a Masonic order. Maybe these new countries wouldn't need hospitals if you wasn't behind tearing down their infrastructure. So you tear down their infrastructure and say, listen, I just built a church and I just built a hospital. Look how good I am. But yet, behind everything you've done, now we need hospitals. You bring the disease and say, I have a cure. So we have a problem with that. With an institution that's supposed to be an institution for all people and an institution of God. That makes people question God. That makes people think that God don't exist. When you claim to have the religion that promotes God, but on the other hand, you are tearing the earth down. You're destroying the people. You are part of a world order that's destroying the people. And then the rituals of the Roman Catholic Church. I've yet to see any of these rituals of the Roman Catholic Church in the Bible. Now, the only thing I was doing was stating fact. I wasn't trying to tear down anyone's religion. I was stating fact. Like, did you know as a Roman Catholic that you was doing Baal worship? That's actual Babylonian satanic worship? You had no idea. You thought it was something good. But look at the rituals. The rituals are all Babylonian. Christ, December 25th. Christ wasn't born on December 25th. The Romans were celebrating the Jupiter boy, the Utah child, before Christ was born in Rome. They were celebrating every December 25th. They were celebrating December 25th in ancient Babylon on the Tammuz after Nimrod was killed. So through your traditions, because you can relate your good days with tradition and religion, you think that the religion is correct. This is psychological brainwashing on every level, and it happened to us from this high. But yet we're stating the facts, and now there's an argument. There's a problem, because now the truth is in the earth. We didn't bring the problem. We didn't set up the Jesuit order. We didn't allow the Jesuit order in the Catholic Church to go from country to country, killing and diseasing the people. We didn't do this. So how is it we're the problem? We're just stating the facts. We're stating the facts. You can't say in one hand you're down with the Most High, and every other week we're hearing a story on how the Catholic priests are raping little kids. This makes people question God himself. How can God allow such a thing to exist and claim it's a part of him? It makes us think. It makes us think that these actions are almost purpose. They want us not to believe. And with each generation, it's multiplying. More people are believing there is no God at all. And to some degree, we don't blame them. To some degree, God is not being promoted anywhere, even through our religious institutions. So, you want to kill a snake, you have to cut off the head. That was the argument yesterday. But the biggest argument didn't come from the Catholics. They didn't really have much to say because obviously the Asians or the Arab people are taking a stance, especially here in Europe. Now they can't play this stuff over in the United States. It don't fly. Okay, straight up. You're not going to come in and speak and try to surround some brothers while they're teaching. That don't happen. Ever. And they know better. They'll sit and look. They'll probably send some brothers who are following Islam over. But they don't have the gall to do what they do here. And, you know, at first it was like, it was sort of a shock to some degree. But then we stayed back, the brothers prayed out, examined it, and I'm like, you know what? This is the scriptures being fulfilled. I'm looking at these guys, and when the Lord says Ishmael is a wild man, he's definitely a wild man. They couldn't state one thing that we were saying that was incorrect. What were we saying so wrong? This is what we told them. We said that we have no use of your religion. Now, they got offensive. And then they asked, well, what you mean you have no use of our religion? Well, because our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they had customs, a way of life, and an understanding before Muhammad was born. Christ died. He came, walked the earth, died, and resurrected almost 600 years before Muhammad was born. What do we need Islam for? I don't stake claim to Ishmael. I can understand why you Arabs are doing that, because y'all have no place in the Bible as the people. So it's about race. So they relish in going throughout all the earth and actually converting people into their way of thinking. That's what it's about. It's racism on the highest level. So, first of all, you said that your God is a loving God and a respecting God. And your God wants all people to coexist. Why can't you exist with the fact that I'm not accepting your religion? You're going against your own God. I have no need for that because I stake claim to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ishmael is not the people. So why should I deal with a religion that comes from Ishmael? See, a lot of people don't understand religion is not about following the Most High at all. It's political. It's politics. It's politics in getting more people than the other side for war. That's all it's ever been. Then we went to the origin of religion. Let's not even talk about Islam, because we know Islam is the newest religion on earth. Period. Muhammad was born around between 560 and 570 AD. 600 years after Christ was already on the earth. Okay? It tell you in a book from Babylon in Timbuktu that he couldn't read or write, but yet he was very keen in hearing. He started trading with the Jews, or the Israelites. So the Israelites taught him monotheism, which is the belief of one God. Before that, the Arabs were worshiping one God for each day of the year. They would look at something. If it's shining, oh, it's a god. This is how they were operating. And it wasn't under Islam. It was called Persian mythology. So before Muhammad was born, no such thing as Islam, Persian mythology. That's what they were worshiping. Now, they want to state claim that they're actually following monotheism today, the original religion of Abraham, but they're not. They're not. When Muhammad finally got power and stormed Mecca with his new so-called monotheism, you can read this in a book called Satan's Angels Exposed. He stormed Mecca. Now, Mecca was an actual Persian mythology priesthood haven before Islam. Some people think Mecca came on the scene with Islam. It was a trade port city, a place where all people came to trade originally. Okay? When he stormed Mecca, he took the gods and tore down all the gods in their temple and kept 3 stones. Now, these 3 stones were the original stones from the 360 some odd gods the Persians and the Middle Eastern and Asians were worshiping. They took 3 stones and they called the stones Allah and Allah daughters. They got the black stone, they got a white stone, and another smaller black stone where's the Kaaba. Okay? Where they stick their head and like a woman's private shaped in silver to kiss the stone, which is straight idolatry and wickedness on a high level. Okay? They had these stones there before there was any such thing as Islam. So you're saying you're worshiping one God, but why you have 3 stones there? Why do you have 1 stone there? Well, the Most High says that his people should not bow down to wood or stone. So when you state these facts, they get angry. They get upset. They want to fight. They want to, come back and forth. Listen, let's just put the facts on the table. Where are your professors? Where's your historians? That's because we state the facts, because we're not some ignorant, because this is what they think of some people, especially our people. They think that we're just some uneducated people that's going to just readily accept your religion because you so-called looking holy. No way. They don't expect people to come with facts and truth. So what we do, so you can understand what we do as a people and as believers, we go to the root of the matter. If anyone is claiming to be following God or following a religion, the first thing you should do is find the root and origin of your religion. That's how you'll know if it's correct or not. They hide the information of the origin because they know most people would reject it if they knew what it was on the surface. Religion is a problem. It's been a problem since the original Tower of Babel, and that leads us to our topic. It's been a problem since the original Tower of Babel. What is a Tower of Babel? I need you to hold what you have in Jeremiah and Zephaniah, and I need us to go to the Tower of Babel. We're going to Genesis. Genesis 11, and this will allow you to understand why people argue religion today. The reason people fight over religion. Right, so, and this is also going to show you how so many people are upset with us. They would like to call myself and others who teach racist or separatist. Why? Because we're not teaching a universal religion. If we were teaching one of the mainstream religions, they would love us. But we don't. We will not comply to any of these religions in the earth. The Most High separated his people from all people to give them laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay? He purposely split the Red Sea and had his people walk through the Red Sea and give them law. Why? Because the earth was lawless. So out of all the people and worship of the earth, the Most High had one worship for himself. Now because of this, if you feel like you're not included, and you see these people prospering based on this God, a lot of things set in. Envy, jealousy, hatred. And not only that, when the Most High was with these people, with the power of the Most High, no people could beat them through war. So you couldn't physically take them down either. Now, if this go on for hundreds of years and thousands of years, 1,000 years, 100 years, and you see these people with all these blessings, but yet you're doing all these rituals to these gods, and you're not getting half of what these people are getting, that's a problem. Well, what's wrong with my God? Why can't my God? Look what happened to the Egyptians' gods. They fell. So they knew that the God that took down the Egyptian God must have been the God. But why didn't that God choose me? This is what these nations was dealing with. So no sooner as God's people fell, what religions came to the forefront? The religions the Most High was trying to suppress when he gave the law to his people. Common sense. So that means the law of God's people is not promoted in the earth. The laws of the Gentiles and the gods of the Gentiles are being worshipped. We're the bad guys because we expose this. We're the bad guys because we don't want you to continue with your lie trying to put Christ with December 25th. Everyone knows Christ was not born during the wintertime. That's common sense. That's in the scriptures. It's in the scriptures. The shepherds were out abiding in the field with their stock. You cannot have herds out in a dead of winter, not even in Jerusalem. Okay? So because we are now exposing their lies, see, they had to use Christ and the Bible to mask their lies. They couldn't tell you that you was worshiping Satan. They couldn't tell you that. So they had to use biblical characters. And by using these biblical characters, they made all of us think that the Bible has something to do with the religions we see today. You think those rituals and the things they're teaching actually come from the Bible because they're using Bible characters. No. They're using satanic characters. They're just taking the name off of the satanic characters and placing biblical names. And the majority of people don't read the Bible anyway. You need to read the Bible to screen whether or not your religion is correct. But like, man, Christ doesn't say that Christ was born December 25th. It doesn't say that. So where did they get this from? Then you go into history. Well, this Tammuz guy, thousands of years before Christ, hundreds of years before Christ, this guy was born December 25th. Who's Tammuz? Oh, Tammuz is an incarnation of Nimrod, the virgin child of Semiramis. Boy, oh boy, they played a game on us, didn't they? History. See, they understood that in order for you to embrace this religion, they had to relate it to something that kids would love. So they made sure that day was totally separated. Everything shut down. And it's the best day. Kids can't wait for December 25th. The spirit of Christmas. Everything's quiet. Mom and Dad. Shalom. Shalom. Mom and Dad been running all. Shalom, sisters. Been running all day and all night. And the toys, you come downstairs, everything is lit up. The train going around, and the little train, and the doll baby, and you come downstairs like, Mom, oh, this is lovely. Every day needs to be Christmas. They do it to you from this age. That feeling you want your children to feel. When you get older, you remember that moment. And the tradition go on and on and on. And I like to always do this here. And your Santa is so happy. Your Santa coming through the fire with this red suit. Boy, isn't he grand? Isn't Santa happy that all the children is respecting his Babylonian wicked satanic day? Right? But we're wrong for exposing this. So let's get into it. Let's get into the origin of religion. All right? The origin of belief. Another thing, I went to the Quran yesterday. They didn't expect us to do that. We went into the Quran and showed them in certain passages where it talks about the children of Israel being the chosen of the Most High. Within the Quran. This guy looks at me. This Arab looks at me and say, you must have put that there. You must have put that there. No. We need to start reading. It's in your Quran who the chosen people are. Now, here's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is not that through the scriptures the Most High chose a people. It really get heated when we can show them who the people are. Who are those people? And we show them it's not those Jewish people over there today. They're not the people of this Bible. So we can show with biblical proof and historical proof beyond any shadow of a doubt who the children of Israel or the children of the diaspora are in the earth today, they really get heated. They really get upset. Why? As long as I acknowledge you Ishmaelites as the people of God and took your rugs and kufis and made you my imam, everything was fine. It was no problem. As long as we acknowledge Jeff Goldberg as a Jewish guy over in Israel, no one got mad at them when they said they was Jews. What's the problem here? Am I experiencing reverse racism here? Why everyone else can be revered in the earth? But when we show the truth of who the people are, these people cannot be the people. No, it can't be them. Not these people. And the majority of the time they feel that way because they know in their heart how they really feel about these people. Y'all don't understand. The Most High, since the beginning, operated with the underdogs. People don't understand that. Because if he operated any other way, then the power would not be his. It would be through the mass of people. He said, I didn't choose you, Israel, because you were the greatest of people. I chose you because you was the least of the people, so that he can show his power. A lot of people don't understand that. The Most High deal with the underdog. If you want to know who the Most High's people is, start with the bottom of the earth. Why? Because all nations cannot stand the God of the Hebrews. That's the reason. That's the purpose of religion today. To stamp out the true God, the God of all gods, named from existence. Because he didn't choose certain people from the beginning. So now that God's people fell, there's no people to represent him. They will exalt their gods. Hence, religion. Common sense. And then we have to keep our foot on these people, because if these people rise, they may rise and bring forth their God. They may start calling on the God that delivered them out of Egypt. So let's make sure we open up religion. We'll fight at the top with religion, but we'll make it free for the people to keep them confused and mixed into all these different ideologies and ideas. They don't want y'all to understand, or they don't want you to actually understand this. Our greatest bondage in this earth, our spiritual bondage, is religion. Okay? And I understand that living in a capitalistic society where you can't get anything unless you're willing to pay something. But I can set up a church. I can set up something that's part of their brainwashing system. I don't have to pay the government a dime if I set up an institution based on the brainwashing of the people. They claim we're brainwashed. Oh my goodness. Oh, those guys are cult. It's true, cultism. You was born in a cult. You was born in England, you're in a cult. You were born in America, you're in a cult. They lied to you from the womb. The origin of religion. Genesis 11, read.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
So at this time, now this was after the flood. The whole earth was with one language and of one speech. So there was no language barrier. All right? So it was easy to allow the people to understand the same thing and think the same thing. No language barrier. Right? That one language was the ancient Hebrew. It was not Aramaic. That's another lie they're putting out there. The original language was Hebrew. After the tower was split during the time of Peleg, the language came through Eba. Eba is a short name for Hebrew. It's not Ebrite, it should be, it's not Hebrite, it should be Ebrite. Because Eba kept the language through Abraham down to the 12 tribes. But the original language was Hebrew.
Read verse 2. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar.
Now the land of Shinar today would be modern day Iraq. But who traveled to the land of Shinar to build this tower? Nimrod. Nimrod was a Cushite or a Hamite. Ham had 4 sons, which are Cush. Cush is Ethiopians. Mizraim, Ethiopians. Egyptians. Then you have North Africans, which are Canaanites, Canaan. And you got South Africans, which is Canaan, and North Africans, which is Pawut. We're not from either of those 4 families. Our family line. I'm talking about the people that went in the cargo slave ships from the western Ivory Coast as part of the slave trade of the transatlantic slave trade. We're not from any of those four families. Cush is from Ham. Nimrod is from Cush. So here it is, Nimrod is traveling to Shinar, which is Iraq, to set up a city.
Read verse 4. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth.
Go ahead.
And the Most High came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Most High said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language.
The people are one and have all one language. Read.
And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be constrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Go ahead.
Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
So they was building a tower. Get the book of Jasher for me. We're going to go into detail with this tower. They was building a tower. Now this tower was not just a building. This tower was also a stargate. A stargate to be able to go into the heavens. It dealt with the highest of technology. It was the highest technology. A matter of fact, this world just started assuming some of that technology that they got from ancient Babylon. And not only was it a tower, this tower had two parts. It was a twin tower that connected at some point and goes further up into the heavens. So we're going to look at the real point of this tower. I'll get it from Jasher. Finish reading what you have there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 7. Go to, let us go down and there confound their language.
It says, let us go down and confound their language. So the angels came down and divided the languages according to nations. The Hamitic people would have a different language. The Japhetic people would have a different language. And the Shemitic people would have a different language. Read.
That they may not understand one another's speech.
Go ahead.
So the Most High scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth. And they left off to build the city.
And they left off to build the city. Hold that. They left off to build the city. They couldn't communicate with each other. You need the same language and the same blueprint to communicate. So because they couldn't communicate, they left off from building this tower, this incomplete tower. We're going to show you what was in that tower in a moment. Also, in order for Nimrod to get all these people to believe in this construct, he constructed some of what we call the first cities. Everyone needed the same ideology to have the same idea to go into the heavens. So in order to do this, he had to get people from these different areas they were in and have all the life be in cities, in which you would desire to live in city instead of plain. Then he had a worship once a week. His worship was the worship of the sun, the S-U-N. And it had to happen every Sunday. Everyone was in the same mindset, the same ritual, same understanding. So now, if an idea comes, the idea comes from the whole. You understand? Then they started building this tower. And this tower had spiritual weaponry to fight against the Most High. So, that lets our governments today, which are Masons, know, in order for us to get back to where Nimrod was, we must inject the same ideology amongst the earth. We have to make everybody worship the same. Everyone must think the same. We must keep them in cities to control their minds. We must use television. We must go out in space and build constructs in space. Now that we have one language again. How did they get that one language? Through computers. Through the computers, they was able to bring all the languages back to vice, to go against what the Most High destroyed from the beginning. To get all nations under one idea again, to go up into the heavens, to fight against the Most High himself. That is the promise of Lucifer, the fallen angel. Lucifer is the god worshipped in masonry, or what you would call Masons. That's their idea. Masons are builders. So what was the original building construct? A construct to fight against God. That's what your Catholic churches are behind. That's what your religions are behind. That's what your government militaries are behind. Their time is running out. They're on a short clock. And they understand what's coming from the sky is not for them. Let's get it. The book of Jasher, read it.
The book of Jasher, chapter 9, verse 20.
Go ahead.
And King Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control.
All the earth was under his control. That is the point of government, to control the people. The government is not the people. Don't ever believe that. Don't ever think that. They need you to think that, but the government is not the people. You do not vote people in. You don't dictate the future of government. You don't. Government is set up to control people. Yes?
For those that may not know, what scriptures are there that say the book of Joshua is something that we can trust?
Because I forgot. We have some newer people in here that, what's the book of Joshua? Right? They won't say nothing here, but they'll go by themselves like, well, I don't know about these guys. They came from a book that I know it wasn't the Bible. Well, so right there, that turned me off. So those that are looking for an excuse to think that what we're teaching is not biblical, I need you to go to the book of Joshua. 1 Samuel 1 and 13. And Joshua 10 and 13. Out of the Bible. Let's go where the Bible tells us to go. How is that? Thank you, fella. Thank you, brother.
Joshua 10.
1 Samuel 1. 1 Samuel 1 and 13, right? And Joshua 10 and 13. Straight from your Bible.
Yeah, 1 and 18. Yes.
1 and 18.
Yeah.
Joshua 10 and 13. And Samuel. 1 Samuel 1 and 18. Right? Okay, let's get it.
Joshua.
Hold up. Okay, go ahead.
Joshua, chapter 10, verse 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jasher?
Is it not written where?
Is it not written in the book of Jasher?
Is it not written in the book of Jasher? So to understand this story, it's speaking of right here in Joshua. You must go to the book of Jasher to get that information. Jasher means the book of the upright ones. All the upright ones since the beginning left a record, which were kings and priests. And it was compiled, and this information was compiled and left in the Ark of the Covenant. It's records of the Hebrews. So if the Bible refers us to the book of Jasher, should not we read it? See, the Roman Catholic Church don't want you to get this information here. Okay, they have canonizations or canons so that they can protect the people from reading and knowing what they know. All right? Read it in 1 Samuel's, 2 Samuel's 1 and 18. 2 Samuel's 1 and 18. Read it.
2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 18. Also, he bade them to teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher.
Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. So there's details that's in Jasher you cannot read in the Bible. Genesis is an overview of thousands of years. And without Jasher, you cannot get the minute details of Genesis. And because you don't have this book, it opens up all these questions that make you question the Most High. Well, if Cain and Abel were the first people under Adam and Eve, then who did Cain marry when he was expelled? All these questions come up because they purposely gave you a book without the rest of the record. So you depend on them for answers. There was no people before Adam and Eve. But the scriptures, when you go into Jubilees, when you go into Jasher, it lets you know that Adam and Eve had sons and daughters. And you can link this to precepts in the Bible. It's just that Genesis promoted the story of the good and evil son. It didn't talk about the other people because the other people was not important in the grand scheme of the Bible. So they just focused on those two sons. Adam and Eve had sons and daughters. It tells you that in Genesis, the 5th chapter. But why you don't read about these sons and daughters? You have to go to the other information. And let's go back to the book of Jasher. Read it.
Jasher, chapter 9, verse 20. And King Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control.
All the earth was under his control. He was a government leader, a president, so to speak, a king. Go ahead.
And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union.
Go ahead.
And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together, Put, Mitzrayim, Cush, and Canaan with their families. And they said to each other, Come, let us build ourselves a city and in it a strong tower.
So all religions started in Africa. Under who? Under the satanic Hamites. Under the satanic Hamites. Here it is, a Cushite, which is Nimrod, built a construct which was a city and set up a union of people to be able to come and worship and understand the same thing. This is the pattern all governments in the earth are using today. There's nothing new under the sun. So that's where all your religions and your voodoo and witchcraft and all these satanic things that come from Africa. So a lot of people like to stake claim to Africa, like, oh, Africa is the motherland. It's not the mother of me. Okay? It's not the mother of me. All right? Or our people. Jerusalem is the mother of us all. Galatians 4 and 26. We didn't start in Africa. We ran into Africa in 70 AD when the Romans took our people down. We hid amongst the other dark races. And we stayed there for a time with our own customs until they figured out where we were. Hence, the transatlantic slave trade. Now, we are in land spread throughout the four corners of the earth based on the curse. Africa is not the motherland. Africa is the Middle Passage. Africa is the middle passage of the children of Israel. We pass through. Okay? We passed through. Africa is not the motherland. So all these people try to, oh, Africa, oh, Mother Africa. And you know what? Even the scientists will feed you this garbage all day long so you don't look towards Jerusalem. We found some bones. The oldest bones, about 655 billion years old. Look at this bone we have. There you go. Keep on looking at Africa. Hold up. The first man was who? Adam. You're not gonna come to me with no bone you found older than Adam. Okay? You see how they do these things? They make you look into Africanism and make you feel good about total ignorance. And on top of that, they try to discredit the Bible by putting in a year that you can't. Listen, how do you know what happened 165 million years ago? You expect us to believe this? You're just trying to discredit the Bible because the Bible tells you exactly how old the earth is. Killing two birds with one stone with their sorcery they call science. So this stuff came from Nimrod. The government structure came from Nimrod. Read.
And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together, Put, Mitzrayim, Cush, and Canaan, with their families. And they said to each other, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower.
Let us build us a city, in it a strong tower. Read.
And its top reaching heaven. And we will make ourselves famed, so that we may reign upon the whole world, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us.
The New World Order. Oh, y'all thought it started with George Bush. Bigger than New World Order right there. Just as the Most High put a wrench in their order. They had to rebuild the order because the Most High put a wrench in it. Let's see you build it if y'all can't communicate. So these guys, once these Masons, they came right from over here, Britain or England. They had the Idumean construct of Masonry, brought it over to the United States, had the big pyramid with the all-seeing eye to create your new Rome and eventually your new world order to accomplish what Nimrod couldn't. Read.
Come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower.
Go ahead.
In its top reaching heaven.
In its top reaching heaven. Read.
And we will make ourselves famed, so that we may reign upon the whole world, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign mightily over them.
Read on.
And that we may not become scattered over the earth on account of their wars.
Go ahead.
And they all went before the king, and they told the king these words. And the king agreed with them in this affair, and he did so. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men. 600,000
men, go ahead.
And they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build the city and the tower. And they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like one at the east of the land of Shinar.
There you go. Directly into Genesis, but detailed. Genesis don't tell you how many people it took to build this construct. Read.
About 2 days' walk, and they journeyed there, and they dwelt there. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower. And they had imagined to complete. And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression and a sin.
It was a transgression and a sin. It was a sin to build towers so high. Read.
And they began to build it. And whilst they were building against the Most High God of heaven, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into heaven.
See that? They imagine in their mind while building this that we're going to ascend into heaven. Who said that? Lucifer. In Isaiah the 7th chapter, that he would ascend into the heights of the clouds and be like the Most High and topple his throne. So who was behind Nimrod? Isaiah the 14th chapter. Isaiah 14 and 12. On down, it tells you he shall ascend into the heavens and be like the Most High. So who was behind Nimrod's program? Satan. See, but he can't do the same thing today. He had to change it because we know who was operating with Nimrod. So now, because Satan appears as an angel of light, and he's a serpent, he said, you know what? I'm going to allow the people to do it because they're going to think it's for Christ. They're going to think it's for God and Jesus. I'm just going to change my name into Jesus. And then they'll help me build the construct against themselves, against their own God. He couldn't do it the way he did it before because people caught on to that. So he switched it. Now you're doing the right thing for God. Join your army. Join your military. Join your government. Be all you can be. Be a good citizen. Follow the laws of the land. Read.
Verse 25.
Go ahead.
And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression and a sin.
Go ahead.
And they began to build it. And whilst they were building against the Most High God of heaven, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into heaven.
Go ahead.
And all these people and all their families divided themselves in three parts. The first said, we will ascend into heaven and fight against them. The second said, we will ascend into heaven and place our own gods and there serve them.
Look at that. They're going to go to where the Most High is and put their gods and serve them instead of serving the God of all gods. This is the mindset. See, you think that this is far-fetched. But folks, none of you even think of this at all when you see these spaceships going out in space. This don't even come to mind, that they're going out in space. You have no idea what they're doing out there. You think they're doing what they're telling you? They just going and floating around in this little thing and they just floating and getting some water. You think that's what's going on? They're doing all types of satanic rituals out there. The Most High has given us their ideas of what the plan was from the beginning. Read.
And the third part said, we will ascend to heaven and smite him with bows and arrows.
We're going to go and we're going to kill the Most High with bows and arrows. They're going to use weaponry to fight against the Most High. Now, I know it sounds simple to those who know that they cannot accomplish this, but in their minds, it tells you in Genesis, there was nothing in their mind they could not achieve. Why? They was not getting this information from humans. The information they was getting was from someone who was once in the heavens and know exactly where it is. But it's too many light years away for humans to travel and live through it. But Satan knows the technology to get man there. That's the time we're in right now. The Battle of Armageddon, which starts in space. The war going to start there first. Then it makes its way back to the earth. Read.
And the third part said, we will ascend to heaven and smite him with bows and spears.
Now see, all this came from Africa. So if anybody want to hold on to Africa, there you go right there. People that want to fight against the Most High. Okay? We're not down with Africa at all. Let's make that clear. Our homeland is Jerusalem. We're not down with Africa. We could care less about that region. The only thing that's going on in that place is the fact that on the Ivory Coast, the Western Ivory Coast, the majority of those people on the Western Ivory Coast are the children of Israel. But there's nothing great that we stake claim to because we're not Africans. They're behind the religions of the world. They're behind the spiritual vortexes, the satanic vortexes of Egypt. They're behind all that. Look at, they was worshiping jackals, part people, fallen angels. We don't attribute to none of that madness. It's madness. See, and these are the things that we must bring forth because this Afrocentric teaching have overwhelmed the people. Because you want to get away from the Europe, I can't deal with the European Bible. Listen, our people ruled in Europe too. Okay? England is called what? Angel land. English means angel's tongue. During the Dark Ages, English was created to get us away from the Latin tongue. Think. Anglo-Saxon means the angelic sons of Isaac. Isaac is the father of Jacob. The Israelites ruled here during the Dark Ages. So don't think just because when you think of Europe, it's European. Listen, we were in Europe too. Okay? The Bible is a Hebrew book. It was translated out of the Hebrew and the Greek. So don't run into this Afrocentric stuff because of what they teach you in Christianity. The Bible does not teach the traditions of Christianity. Okay? The Bible is a history book and it's a spiritual book. It's not a traditional book. As a matter of fact, if we were following the traditions of this book, you'll be following God's holy days instead of Satan's holidays. Go back. Go ahead.
And the Most High knew all their works and all their evil thoughts. And he saw the city and the tower which they were building.
Go ahead.
And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and a very high and strong tower. And on account of its height, the mortar and bricks did not reach the builders in their ascent to it, until those who went up had completed a full year.
You see that? It took a year for a brick to get from the bottom of this thing to the top. It was so high. Now imagine that. Read.
And after that, they reached to the builders and gave them the mortar and the bricks. Thus it was done daily. And behold, these ascended and others descended the whole day. And if a brick should fall from their hands and get broken, they would all weep over it. And if a man fell and died, none of them would look at him.
They didn't care if a man fell and died from the top, but let a brick fall. They would all cry because it takes a year for a brick to get up. And each day they're moving bricks. 600,000 people. Read.
Verse 29. And the Most High knew their thoughts. And it came to pass, when they were building, they cast their arrows towards the heavens.
So these, they out of their mind. They at the top of the tower were shooting arrows out into heavens. Now these are not just regular arrows. Alright? They're shooting these, they got this technology trying to fight against the Most High on the top of this building. Right? Read.
And all the arrows fell upon them filled with blood.
And see, and this is why we go against what we call the Independence Day or 4th of July in the United States. 4th of July in the United States, they shoot what you would call fireworks into the sky to tempt the Most High. Independence Day. And they make you think that it's America's independence from Great Britain. But it has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with mankind's independence from the Most High. And when they shoot their fireworks into the sky with the lights and all that, they're tempting the Most High with war. Mimicking what they did right here on the Tower of Babel. Shooting fireworks out into space against the Most High. This is what they do. This is our governments and our militaries. Our Masons. Read.
And the Most High knew their thoughts. And it came to pass, when they were building, they cast their arrows towards the heavens. And all their arrows fell upon them filled with blood.
Go ahead.
And when they saw them, they said to each other, Surely we have slain all those that are in heaven. For this was from the Most High in order to cause them to err, and in order to destroy them from off the face of the ground. And they built the tower and city, and they did this thing daily until many days and years were elapsed. And the Most High said to the 70 angels, who stood foremost before him, to those who were near to him, saying, Come, let us descend and confuse their tongues.
He said, now he's sending 70 angels down to confuse their tongue. Read.
That one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor.
So this is breaking the languages down into 70 separate languages. Read.
And they did so unto them. And from that following day, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue, and they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbors lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it upon his neighbor, that he would die.
So because they couldn't communicate, they was killing each other on this tower. Read.
Verse 34.
Listen to what he did to one of the Hamitic people that was up there. Read.
And they did so many days, and they killed many of them in this manner. And the Most High smote the 3 divisions that were there, and he punished them according to their works and designs. Those who said, "We will ascend to heaven and serve our gods," became like apes and elephants.
Became like apes and elephants. Now you see some of those African tribes out there that live like animals with dirt on them, and they act like animals. That was a curse that was put on them since the Tower of Babel. They're living like animals, like some of the pygmy tribes, some of the tribes that just have dirt on them and walking around like animals. That was a curse from what they did at the Tower of Babel. They're not even living as humans. So when we look at this stuff and see these things, like, man, why are these people operating like this? You think that's their choice. The Most High put a curse on them for what their foreparents did in the beginning. He says, for those that wanted to shoot arrows up into the heavens, I'm going to make their families like elephants and apes. They're going to be operating like elephants, throwing dirt on them and just operating like apes in the wild. Read.
And those who said, "We will smite the heaven with arrows," the Most High killed them, one man through the hand of his neighbor. And the third division of those who said, "We will ascend to heaven and fight against them," the Most High scattered them throughout the earth. And those who were left amongst them, when they knew and understood the evil which was coming upon them, they forsook the building, and they also became scattered upon the face of the whole earth.
So what happens after the building is destroyed? After they can't build anymore, all these families start scattering and going throughout their respective areas with their respective languages. Now, each country think they have their own religion, but really they got the religion from where? Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. Hence, your Persian religion, your Asian religion, your Hamitic religion, all your religions started at the Tower of Babel. So now, when the Catholics go out on their missionaries to convert people, it's easy to convert them because instead of you converting someone into your religion, you just tell them the name of your God, which parallels their God. Oh, you do it. You do it, Krishna. Okay, we call him Christ. Oh, you do it this. Oh, we call him this. And all of them have a Queen Mother of Heaven, a virgin child, and these places never heard of Jesus Christ. These places didn't have Christ in their culture, but yet they have the same rituals and the same understanding and the same beliefs. Why? Because it originated at the Tower of Babel. In this book right here, called The Two Babylons, it gives you the parallel between ancient Babylon and the world we see today. It's all Babylonian. It's all from Nimrod. It's all from the original construct. In order to understand the Most High, actually, you will not understand the Most High on any level in these religions. It's impossible. Because Satan is the Lord of all these religions. You have to step out and find out what it is, and that begins your quest on figuring out what the Most High wants you to find out about him. First, you must step out of all the religions first. Let me show you something here. Easter, the goddess of star. Here's the Babylonian eggs of the goddess of star. They had one with a snake wrapped around it, the serpent. You had one with the moon or the crescent like you would see in Islam. The egg represents fertility. It's an old Babylonian custom. I used to wonder, what do eggs have to do with Christ rising from the grave? What do bunny and eggs, what is this? Why am I painting eggs? And have the kids running to chase some eggs on Easter Sunday? And why is it that Easter falls on Sunday every year? Oh, Babylonian worshiping of the sun. The egg represents Semiramis, who they claim came down on the river Euphrates in an egg and hatched. It had nothing to do with Christ rising from the grave. Easter have nothing to do with Christ, nothing to do with Christ rising from the grave. As a matter of fact, there is no holy day for Christ rising from the grave. Let me show you this. Then I'm gonna bring it around to my buddies that was there yesterday. Let me get it here. Excuse me. Let me show y'all this here. This book is a must-have if you want to understand what you're really dealing with. The symbols that the Pope have with his hat and with his garments, all of that is Babylonian. One moment. Let me get it here. I'm looking for those different images here. This goes into Nimrod, his whole plan. It's the same plan of all governments today. One moment here. Oh, here it is here. Here's an example of the mother and child. Here's an ancient Babylonian. They have little sketches of the ancient Babylonian statue, and they have a sketch of the Indian statue. And as you can see, it's mother and child in all these different civilizations. Mother and child. In Europe, you'll see pictures of what they would call Mary and Jesus. But they all come from Semiramis and the child Tammuz. Semiramis married her son, which was Nimrod, and they were the rulers of ancient Babylon. When Nimrod was killed, he was killed by Esau. A tree constructed over the grave, and every year, December 25th, like I mentioned before, you would take your gifts and put it under the tree in reverence to Semiramis. And if you didn't, your head would roll. So that's your balls on your Christmas tree every December 25th. Then a so-called virgin child came, which was the incarnation of Nimrod, and his name was Tammuz. That's your T or your cross, to worship the virgin child of Satan. That's what we're following in this earth with Christianity. Satan himself appears as an angel of light. Now, that's Christianity in a nutshell. I don't want to go through the whole thing. It'll take me hours. I just want to give you all an overview. But going back to my guys yesterday, the Arabs, they were upset because we showed them, according to the Bible, that Islam is not a religion to be worshipped by anybody. It have no origin. You can't stake claim to Abraham through Ishmael, because the promised seed came through Isaac. We are the seeds of Isaac. Therefore, we have no need of Islam. You need Islam because you need to feel like you're accepted under the covenant. The only way the Gentiles can be accepted under the covenant is to accept the truth. That's how you get accepted under a covenant. You cleave to truth. Put down your pagan religions and come to the truth and the true God of the Hebrews. Right? How you doing? So let's get it. Go ahead. Let's get Zephaniah. Get Genesis 17. So that's the problem. So these guys, they surround us yesterday, and because we were showing them that Islam is not the religion of God's people. Right? Go ahead. Islam is not the religion of the Bible. Now, another thing they did, they thought that by discrediting the Bible by default, you should go to the Quran. So they was in front of us saying things like, the Bible is tampered with. I said, okay, show me one thing that's tampered with. They couldn't do it. Let me tell you, you don't need to tamper with any book when you can tamper with the minds of the people. The people have been tampered with. Why should I follow Islam? What benefit does it have for my growth and my understanding of myself? That leads me to reverencing Arabs. And I don't think, I've been to the Middle East, okay? And let me tell you, I am not racist by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll tell you this. It's some of the most confused things I've ever seen in my life. Everything is totally confusing. So I'm like, how can I go to these people for religion when they don't know how to run a government? They don't know how to run just the basic things. And how can I go to them for a religion when our people taught Muhammad? If the Jews taught Muhammad monotheism, shouldn't we Arabs be going to the people that taught Muhammad? That's common sense. There was one God for each day of the year. So, I'm going to show you some of the scriptures we